Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to the talk show Meet Menaca, episode 123. Today we are going to discuss Is Beauty Skin Deep with Namrata Das, who is a hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner primarily. Let me introduce the talk show first. Our mission is to touch and inspire 1 million hearts and lives to improve their health, happiness, and hope. We feature experts in their respective fields and real people sharing real stories like today to create a positive social change. It is a 90-minute multicultural online talk show to celebrate each and every one of you. We would be delighted to have you join our shows, which live stream airing first Sunday of every month in London time, 2:00. It's a free event. You can register and then you will get a link through the email. Let's get into the speaker. Why it is Namrata Das who is speaking. So she's a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner, but she has been practicing hypnotherapy, past life regression therapy, and neuro-linguistic programming for over 11 years. As the founder of Menaca services, she offers solutions for a wide variety of problems, including not limited to mental health disorders, which is anxiety, depression, PTSD, stress management, emotional and sexual abuse, trauma, healing, phobias, addictions like smoking, alcohol, and substance use, weight loss, sexual disorders, corporate hypnotherapy, and sports hypnotherapy. Additionally, she's also a freelance writer, adept at weaving creative technical content alike. How she uses this is to deconstruct complex psychological themes and serves as a foil for unjust social hierarchy systems that plague Indian society, in her words. And she's also going to be authoring her first book soon. Why are we here today? What can we expect? I think this is a topic close to my heart because it's a thought-provoking phrase when you say, is beauty skin deep? We have to and must challenge the conventional notion of beauty being solely based on external factors. Maybe it's a color, the size, the hair, the physical appearance. It suggests that truly beauty goes beyond what meets the eye, and we want to delve deep into meaningful understanding of a person's character, personality, and inner qualities far beyond the skin or the way we look physically. That's what this show is going to be about. It's going to be centered around the idea that we can expand perspectives by talking about these matters openly, promote self-acceptance for the younger generation, foster empathy towards each other, and encourage authentic connections and build inclusive communities, which is even more important. Firstly, a very warm welcome. And thank you, Namrata, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
When we talk about whether beauty is skin deep, the first thing, as a South Asian woman, being seen it and heard a lot of things, first thing that comes to mind is colorism.
Right.
So I want to ask you, is colorism still a real thing? What has been your experience with colorism? And how did it change your perception about yourself? Also, have you heard any anecdotes?
Oh, well, colorism still is a real thing. We live in a country that has been steeped in colorism even before the colonial rule in India. So before that, colorism was the basis of the caste system in India, right? So if you are light-skinned, it's associated with a higher caste and something honorable like being a scholar. If you're dark-skinned, it's assumed that you can endure long hours out in the sun. So you're meant for hard, menial labor. And that's how it started off. Maybe it's diluted now. It's not as much on the nose, but it still exists. It definitely still exists. And I have experienced my fair share of colorism while growing up. I have a very light-skinned mother. My father's on the darker side, so to say. And well, here I am. So it was difficult for me to have my mom with me in school functions, I would say. I love my mom to bits, but I would get compared to her a lot. I would go to these school functions and everyone would look at my mom and say, "Your mother's so beautiful," which is a good compliment. I would feel good about it. But then it would be followed up with, um, "Why do you look like this? What happened to you?" There are certain incidents, I think, which stay with me even as an adult. I do recall this one incident when I was in the fifth grade and I was supposed to go out for a family dinner. And it was very exciting for me to wear color clothes that time because I used to wear the uniform to school every day. And I just looked forward to it so much. And I wore this turquoise blue kagra, which is authentic Indian attire. And it had very pretty mirror work. And my mom had drawn my eyes. And I'd gone for this family dinner with these relatives who were visiting from out of the country. And I was so excited. I was feeling so good about myself. And sitting there at the dinner table, there was a relative who was very light skinned who was sitting opposite me. And she noticed my eyes and she looked at my mother in front of me while I was sitting there. And she said, "She has very pretty eyes and she has sharp features. It's very tragic that she wasn't 5 shades lighter. She would be considered pretty." And as a little girl, even though I was in the fifth grade, I fully understood the impact of that statement. And it made me so sad. My heart really sank. I lost appetite, even though there was this delicious spread around me. And it is a memory that still stays with me as an adult. Or another time when I was at a funeral. Why would people bring this up in a funeral? But they do. When I was with mom, and they commented as we passed by, how unfortunate for this woman that she has a daughter who looks like a crow. And I heard that. It really impacted me. If I had to describe it, it feels like this ice cold claw that's like reaching into my heart and tearing at it. It does feel like that. You go numb. There is this cold sensation in your body just when you hear that word dark. It's not supposed to be a bad word, but it does feel like that. Or I would just meet someone, have a conversation with them for 5 minutes, and then they think they just have to give me unsolicited advice on how I should use orange peel powder to get rid of my tan. But that's not my tan. That's how my DNA is coded to produce melanin in my body. If anything else, the orange peel powder, which is rich in ascorbic acid, would just burn my skin away. And while growing up, I realized it's not just me. There are dusky women who've had similar experiences, who shared similar stories with me, friends, family. And there was this one incident, which I do remember. It was regarding a client who'd come, and she was this beautiful classical dancer. But during a regression, she broke down and she shared that when she was younger, she was pelted with stones and hit with sticks in her neighborhood because she was a darker skinned child. And it was so sad for me. I couldn't fathom it. I was looking at her and all I saw was this beautiful woman, and I just couldn't fathom why this could have happened to her. So I would say it still exists.
It breaks my heart even to, because I know you for a long time. I have heard lots and lots of stories from you, but it hits me every single time I listen to you. I can't put it in any other way than saying it's a real shame people define beauty that way. I think shameful to say something like this, and something must happen to change this. Listening to you, I can tell you, for those who know my mother, her skin color is much, much lighter than mine. And when I was in school, and even after I got married and even came to the UK, people have sometimes said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry to say, with generation, the beauty is going downhill. Your mom is so much more prettier because she's leaner, she's taller, she's her skin is light skin." I think, like you, perhaps we all have to build a thicker skin to these comments. And you're also right. certain things do stick to you. For you, it's the dusky skin color, perhaps. For me, it is being big. In our conversations, it has come up many times, Namrata, that colorism can affect one's marriage prospects. And I know other stories like this. What is your take on it? We still live in a society where the requirement of the ideal Asian or Indian bride really shifted from fair, good-looking, thin, tall, and whatnot to accommodate women's accomplishments. Or how we shifted from that perspective of seeing the value system from something different, from the skin tone and how we look. Because I understand that within what is considered dark, there's also different skin tone variations. That's, always surprises me and intrigues me. How can even be different skin tone variations? And the degree of prejudices different within the spectrum. I would love you to explain a little about it.
All right. Yes. The primary requirement for a bride would still be fair. Fair will even precede good looking. And it gives me the impression that you need to be fair in order to be considered good looking, right? Why does it always come first? That's what I think when I read these matrimonial requirements. And it's almost as if you are fair-skinned, you are at an advantage to choose the kind of bride who you would want. And I heard this anecdote about this girl who was dusky, very beautiful, very, very qualified, had a wonderful personality, and she had got this match from a boy. So she was living in the US, from what I recall, and the boy is from India. And in a way, she clearly has the advantage over here. But she called the boy's mother and asked her, would your son even consider me because of the color of my skin? Would he reject me? Will he even be interested in hopping on a call with me and getting to know me further? And I heard that and I was appalled. I felt so much outrage on her behalf as to why she would even feel lesser than in any way. And I think it's common knowledge in the South Asian community. I've heard this from people who have told me this while growing up as early as I was 13 years old and understood what the concept of skin color is, what the concept of marriage is, that you're on the darker side. So make sure you marry someone who's fair skinned so that you can have light skinned children. So I am so ugly and undesirable on account of my skin tone that my child should look entirely like my spouse and have no trait of mine. How is that supposed to make young girls feel? And this sort of mentality is like, it's ingrained in our society. It is told you need to whiten the future generation. And that to me is so messed up. And yes, as you mentioned, there are different gradations of brown. Like even within brown skin, I would say, depending on the degree of brownness of your skin, you would face a different degree of prejudice. If I were to have a conversation, and this did happen when I was having a conversation with someone who's several shades darker to me, and I was sharing my experiences with this person, and this person said, you don't get to talk about your experiences. You don't qualify for prejudice. I do, because I get it worse than you. Because they would have comments of people going up to their face and telling them things, but probably I wouldn't get that now. So they're like, okay, you can live with that level of prejudice. I get it worse than you, which is very sad. So you need to be, if you reach wheatish, we have something known as the wheatish bracket as far as Indian skin tones go. Once you're wheatish, you're considered desirable. Anything below that, no, you're considered undesirable.
It is shocking, right? But particularly in this day and age, this is still actually happening. And I know, I totally agree with you. It does happen. I know a story in the UK. Someone came to, they had the audacity to come to see a bride in their own home and said, oh, we had much fairer people to match with, but unfortunately, astrology didn't click. So I had to kind of settle for this one. What are you talking about? If anyone here is thinking it doesn't happen in the West just because we are migrated here, you couldn't be more wrong. These things happen everywhere. We carry our prejudices, judgment wherever we go, unfortunately. And I think it's time for us to wake up as a community and say, first of all, because anything, it all starts with acceptance that there's a problem. If we want to pretend there's no problem, then we can't solve it. So thank you so much, Namrata, for that. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
I heard you saying for the lighter skins, you have to put this cream. I know definitely one, that Fair and Lovely used to be the thing, when I grew up. Is the fairness industry as lucrative as it was before? Have you ever felt compelled to use the fairness creams?
Oh, it's still as lucrative as it was before, right? We live in a fairness-obsessed nation. And Fair and Lovely had a turnover of 10,000 crores a year. And although Fair and Lovely has come under a lot of fire now, and they had to rebrand themselves to Glow and Lovely, they're still doing the same thing, right? They're still selling the same product. It's ultimately a skin bleaching cream. And I did experience something with these creams. Honestly, when I first started using this product, so I had gone on vacation to Dubai and had gone to this beauty salon. And this lady had given me a cream saying it's a homemade product and you can use it for your acne marks. It would help you lighten your scars. And I thought, okay, I might as well give it a try. And after I used it, I got several shades lighter. So much so that there was like a stark difference between my face and my neck. And I did not understand that there was such a thing as skin bleaching creams back then. And it's only when I went to my dermatologist for a routine visit, she said, you look unusually pale. This is not normal. What are you using? We need to, get this cream tested and figure out what's in it. And I didn't take her too seriously, but invariably what happened is it damaged my skin. It gave rise to a condition known as gram-negative folliculitis, wherein my face was covered with pus, because it thinned out my skin layers that much. And then I realized skin bleaching creams have a compound known as hydroquinone, which is a lightening agent. And this is something that can be only used in a certain percentage in dermatological preparations that you have to pick up with a dermatologist's prescription for legitimate conditions that require lightening, like melasma or hyperpigmentation. Melasma is when you develop unusually dark pigments over your normal skin color. And that is something that they advise for short periods of time. But if you use it indiscriminately over long periods of time, you can even develop a condition known as ochronosis, wherein you would have these large blackish blue patches on your face, and that is extremely difficult to take care of, there's no form of intervention after that. You could even be a bright candidate for skin cancer if you use this long term. And no one tells you these things. In a way, I was lucky that it went downhill for me and I was aware of this. But these kind of homemade fairness creams, without labels, without the entire ingredient list, are still being sold in salons and stores all over the world. And fairness-obsessed nations like ourselves are willing to consume them.
I don't often find it difficult to say something, but it shocks me more and more every time I hear these stories. Thank you, Namrata. We spoke about how you used it, and lots more people use it. I grew up knowing hundreds and thousands of people using Fair and Lovely, to be honest. How far does someone go to achieve that fair skin? And in particular, I want to bring the attention to one particular ingredient, glutathione injections. Is it a real thing? This was in the market even a decade ago, and it's all the rage now. So even among, very well-known people, I'm sure there are stories about it. So can you address that, please?
So glutathione is marketed as an antioxidant, and it's all the rage now. You don't have to go to a dermatologist. You can go to a salon and get hooked up to IV and get glutathione in your system, which is supposed to lighten your skin tone by, say, 5 shades or so. That's what the marketing strategies claim. It's also available as pills, which are insanely expensive. And they'll tell you, if you're not turning lighter, they tell you you're not taking it with enough vitamin C. For glutathione to be fully absorbed in your body, you need very high doses of vitamin C, which will be 100 times more than your RDA. And it doesn't make any sense, because any nutrient in excess is not going to sit well with your system. You're going to start exhibiting side effects to it. And while it is all the rage now, it did exist so many years ago. It has always existed. Maybe it's a new fad on the market now. And it's incorporated in bridal packages and so on. There are laser treatments to specifically kill and destroy melanin cells in your body. And it's very apparent that a lot of celebrities also who we know, when they've entered the movie industry, there was a certain skin tone. And that was very delightful to see. And several years later, they're completely whitewashed, so to say. And you're wondering what it is that they've done. No one wants to openly talk about it. They're going and getting all of these lasers and using all of the skin bleaching creams. No one wants to talk about it. But I did read an interview from a prominent actress who said that she was scared that if she didn't do these things, she would lose out on plum roles to her lighter skinned counterparts. And it's only when she migrated to the West, she found more acceptance for her brown skin tone, which is sad, because we often say that we face more colorism out of our country, not in our country. But in reality, I think it's the other way around.
I know perhaps some of the celebrities you're talking about, particularly at least the Indian celebrities. Let's not go into it, but whichever way it is, this is very harmful. I think more awareness has to be there, how damaging it can be for your health and your skin. Namrata, every day there's a new concept of beauty, and there comes a new skin product claiming to make it all perfect. How this affect women who struggle with skin issues?
Oh, well, when you see the next new product that's advocating glass skin or dewy skin or whatever it is that they choose to call it. And of course, they're going to use all of these fancy words to, sell their product. But if you do have skin issues, like I have struggled with skin issues on and off throughout my life. Just seeing those taglines, it makes you question yourself that, okay, so does that mean that there's something wrong with me? If I don't have glass skin or I don't have dewy skin, do I automatically become undesirable? And it starts working on your mind. If you don't join the bandwagon and start using these products to achieve the same kind of skin, and honestly, it's very unrealistic. It's a lot of pressure, because as much as I advocate people do things as far as skincare is concerned to feel good about yourself, but it's largely defined by genetics itself. And you can't change your genes, and you can't get down and feel terrible about yourself because you don't have 100% clear skin. It doesn't really need to define how beautiful you are.
Thank you, Namrata. I think it is important to address these things, because before everyone goes and just lines up and start using new products, I think it is perhaps best to stop and think about these things. And what are you really getting at? What do you want to really achieve? Do you want to change yourself, or what, how you want to look?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. As any other woman, I like my products, beauty products. But how far you go is the question, and what kind of awareness you have. And are you looking at the ingredients and what you want to achieve? Do you want to change the entire way you look or to enhance it? So thinking about it, makeup is for women to feel good about themselves. That's what I think. But there is also an unspoken pressure, like you mentioned, to feel compelled to use it to hide their imperfections. But no one is perfect. We all have imperfection. That's the reality. I'm glad that particularly on Instagram, there's a hashtag trending called no filters, where they don't use filters to look lighter or brighter or look better. What is your take on it?
Well, I agree with you. Women love makeup products. There's a feel-good factor to it, for sure. But as someone who has struggled with skin issues on and off, like I mentioned, I also did find out from dermatologists that a large percentage of women all over the world do face adult acne, or they do have different kinds of skin conditions like psoriasis or eczema, or all of these conditions. Dermatitis also, which I have had a stint of dermatitis as well, which could just flare up in response to products. So on account of skin sensitivities as well, I can't use it. So one side of the picture is, do I have to use makeup to cover this up? Because other people are going to point it out and ask me, what is this on your face? Why is it there? How do you make it go away? Well, if I knew how to make it go away, it wouldn't be there in the first place, would it? And it's like they're not paying attention to your conversation, what you're saying. They're only fixated on what is less than perfect in their eyes. They don't make allowances for health concerns. And as women, you know that we have hormones which behave sometimes and sometimes they don't behave. And you do need to make allowances for that. And I have heard of women who do struggle with skin issues that when they go out on dates, they feel so much pressure to look perfect. They're so scared of getting rejected just the first time that if someone's going to be paying so much attention to the way they're looking, that they may not actually put in the effort to get to know them as people. And that's very sad.
Thank you so much. Underlying issue is perhaps we have let other people define what is good for us. And I think that is a problem. I'm sure hopefully we will have enough time to discuss those things. This is a topic I'm really keen to bring into light. What happens in case of sensitive skin individuals who can't use makeup? Are they perceived differently, like you said?
Yes, I am someone with extremely sensitive skin. I have dermatitis flare-ups in response to certain fragrances. And as you know, a lot of our skincare products, including makeup products, have fragrances. And I could list out maybe 120 different ingredients that I am allergic to. So I cannot use foundation. I've learned to be okay with it over a period of time. Initially, I would say I felt left out, or when I used to go out and see women who are perfectly made up, it did make me feel that am I not on par with the rest of them? And this was nothing to do with skin color, but in terms of skin health, that I don't have 100% perfect skin. And it takes time, and it's a very uncomfortable space to sit with yourself and reason with yourself and tell yourself that, you know what, it may not be 100% perfect, but you're healthy and you have so many other things to be grateful for, and you need to do what's best for your skin. If makeup is going to aggravate it, there's no point in using it to temporarily look good on a date or temporarily look good on an interview and then come back and go through so much distress on account of it. I think that as much as makeup is great for all of us, we also need to normalize no makeup looks and being able to get out barefaced and not being judged for it.
Yes, Namrata. And also, I think some of us can perhaps make that decision that they don't want to use makeup. And that's
Right.
perfectly all right. I think, at least for myself, I can say I do put makeup, as many people know. But most of the time, 90% of the time, at least minimum, I don't wear any makeup. I just walk out with moisturizers. I have had people who say, oh, why don't you use makeup? How come you don't use makeup? I have had people at work saying they can't come to work without makeup. I think that kind of pressure should not be there for anyone.
Right.
As you grow older, I'm sure like we hold our own, but as young people, I think it's even more harder. Coming to another topic as important, I totally relate to it. Most of you know how I look. Exercise is an important lifestyle routine. However, is there so much emphasis on the ideal body fat percentage and how lean or thin you must look and zero sizes that women are invariably shamed for having real bodies?
Oh yes. Oh yes. If you are model thin, read thin, you are desirable. If your body fat percentage is more than that, if you're moderately curvy, if you're a big girl, it's not as desirable, is it? You're body shamed for it. Body shaming is still very, very real. And I think it's very interesting that at one point in time, Victoria's Secret was the most famous fashion show. I know all of us were tuning into it. All of us were watching all of the supermodels. But even they have now understood that it's so important to showcase different body types. And now they have all kinds of models who are showcasing their products, which I think is great. At least it is one step forward towards making men and women understand that beauty exists in different shapes as well. And I have experienced that while women can be picky and they can poke fun at your weight, or you show up and the first thing, even before saying hi or hello, they'd be like, oh, you've put on weight or you've lost weight. I mean, that's the first thing they say. It sort of throws you off in a conversation, right? Like, why is that the first thing that they're picking up on? Yeah, but I do think that is the extent of what they notice. But I've also experienced that men can be more picky and they can make you feel more terrible about your weight than even women can. And this would be coming from men who have probably not they've not even passed by a gym in their lives, but they would feel like it's their duty to inform you that you're not the right shape.
Yeah. Thank you, Namrata. I'm not going to say anything much about it. I know all about it. I have been on the receiving end. So let's move on because, there are so many different issues to cover.
Right.
I hope men and women think before they become critical of someone's body. And hopefully there are more positive movements or body positivity is brought on to shift their perspective. On that topic, do you think, does the media do enough to promote equity, in your opinion? Because we have dusky skinned women, we have big women, and I'm sure there are more things coming there. What is your take on it? And what kind of impact does this have on a dusky skinned or dark skinned woman who views such content?
There is no such thing as equity when it comes to media portrayals of the ideal woman on screen. As a young girl, while growing up, there was no one who I could identify with. There was no actress who was dusky and who was portrayed as glamorous at the same time. if there was that odd, dusky actress, she would be considered an art house heroine. She wouldn't be mainstream. She wouldn't be glamorous. Because apparently the concept of dark skin and glamour are supposed to be mutually exclusive. And it is so sad that there is no one on screen that you can see and think, but she's considered beautiful. When I grow up, I could be beautiful because she's considered beautiful, right? And this is the message that is being sent out to so many young girls out there. And also, like, I'm going to circle back to what I said earlier, that when me and many people like me see dusky skinned heroines on screen and who have felt compelled to undergo severe skin lightening treatments, then you question yourself that these people were immensely talented and they were so beautiful. Why did they change themselves so drastically? That's sending out the message again that dark skin is undesirable. And in order to further your career, in order to be considered desirable, in order to be considered feminine, you would have to undergo skin lightening. How many songs can we think of, in the movie industry that glorifies women and compare their skin tone to a milky skin tone and all of that, right? I don't recall too many songs glorifying dark skin as such. And there was a particular incident I do recall where there was this dusky actress, very immensely talented. She went on a comedy show to promote her movie, and she was roasted there. There were so many jokes made at the expense of her skin tone. And she was not taking it. She said, "This is inappropriate." She got up and she walked off, and she was not taking it at all, which is a good thing. She wasn't encouraging it at all.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump into another important topic because I'm very well aware that about the time. Some of us embrace gray hair for a variety of reasons. As you can see, I haven't. What have been your experience towards this? What is the perception towards women in general with graying hair?
Well, I have a lot of gray hair. I have premature graying. I get it from my dad's side. And I started graying as early as 25. And I think in the last 2 years, it's become much more apparent. Like when I wear my hair like this, it's very apparent, the streaks in the front. And the most common question that I get is, why don't you color it? It makes you look old. Why don't you do something about it? Because there is this idea that is sold that if you are a woman, you need to look perfect in every way. There are no allowances that are made for any kind of imperfection. You're supposed to look like a beauty queen throughout your life. How realistic is that? So if I choose not to color my hair, like for me, I have a skin condition called dermatitis, and I've been asked not to color it for some time because it could trigger the skin condition. And I said, okay, I can't do it. So does that mean my life comes to a standstill and I hide under a rock during the meanwhile life has to go on? I need to embrace myself the way I am. But apparently people around me are feeling so much shame on my behalf, which even I'm not experiencing. And this goes for men as well as women.
I mean, it is totally shocking. Particularly as a young person, I can totally understand. If it's okay, can I tell you the story about this Uber driver, Namrata?
Oh, do you want me to narrate it?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So I hopped into a cab, and sometimes if I sense that my drivers are chatty, I am completely fine to initiate a conversation with them, learn a little more about their life and their experiences. And I had this driver who was very conversant in English, and that was very surprising for me. I wanted to ask him how he came into this line and asked him about his family. I spent a good 30 minutes talking to him, and this man was even talking about his life experiences, how after COVID, he'd lost all purpose in life, and he doesn't see how he's making a difference by driving cabs. And I thought to myself, he's doing this job, which probably feels like a very thankless job to him. And the least I can do is leave him with a smile. Maybe he would remember it later, maybe he wouldn't, but let me try to make his day, because clearly it's been a good ride for me so far. And what I did tell him is, see, for those few minutes that you're transporting us from destination A to B, to have someone wonderful like you driving the cab, it helps us feel less stressed. So in some way, you are making a difference to people sitting in your cab as well. All right. This conversation is something that would make me feel happy today. You are making my day as well. So don't think that you don't have a purpose. And as you know, people who are empathetic, making others feel good, it makes you feel good by default, right? And I was feeling good, and he dropped me off. And the moment I was getting off, he looks at me and he said, "Ma'am, you have so much gray hair. Why is that? You don't want to do anything about it?" And I didn't know how to feel about it. I said, "I spent 30 minutes having a wonderful conversation with you. You felt good about yourself, but this is what you choose to focus on?" And then it made me wonder, like, is this what was running in his mind the entire while? Did he even value what we spoke about?
Thank you so much. The reason I wanted to highlight that is, it is so common. Honestly, it was so shocking when you told me the story. I'm like, can this even happen? I guess I have learned this lesson, particularly this year. Showing empathy is great, but showing empathy to the wrong people can get you into all sorts of situations and unnecessary drama, and get you into emotionally where you don't want to be. And I think this has to change. And I don't know why people think they have the right to say things. Whatever they feel like, whatever that comes to their mind, they don't have any filters. And first of all, it shouldn't even come in their mind. But we can't change that. But at least have a filter. I think people should be forced to have some sort of filter before they utter those words.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Menaca.
So, have you been harshly perceived by men and women regarding unconventional beauty standards?
Oh, absolutely. For me, I think now that's sort of a litmus test, so to say, to figure out who are genuine people and who aren't genuine people, and people who are just very, very superfluous. Because if they're going to be fixating on these things, you cannot expect any value addition in your life from them, and they're not going to appreciate any value addition from your end as well. And there is an interesting anecdote that I can share with you. I was part of this entrepreneurs group that was meant for women, and I was told that there was a calendar that was going to be created, and it would feature only a certain number of the members. And I wanted to be featured in it, and I approached the person who was in charge of it, and I requested her whether I could be one of the women entrepreneurs who feature here. And she looked at me and she said, not taking into consideration that I was the only hypnotherapist and neurolinguistic programmer in the entire group, or that I was the only freelance writer, no. She looked at me and she said, yes, I can feature you as the only dark girl, but you need to go and color your hair and come. People are not going to be opening this calendar, flipping through it to look at your gray hair. And in that moment, as much as I've learned to grow a thicker skin over time, it's still momentarily it hits you that here is a woman who's expected to embrace you as you are, because women are supposed to do that and foster that sense of inclusivity, at least amongst ourselves, in order to change this perception. But she was calling me out for something that is beyond my control and which I have learned to make peace with, but apparently is causing her so much discomfort. It's also with respect to men when you're out there, when you're getting to know people. I know I'm in a place where I'm getting to know people, and they see my pictures, and the first thing they ask me is that gray hair in your pictures? Why don't you color it? Or they'd say something, or they probably meet you in person and they'll not want to meet you again because you don't fit the conventional beauty standards. Or even I get unfavorable responses even for the length of my hair.
Well, all I can say is we don't need them. We are better off without them, really. I really hope more and more women embrace that thought, and more men and women bring up their children, their grandchildren, to embrace that thought. It's really important, because otherwise we are going to be left with a society. This is going to be a normal occurrence, and this is not going to be an odd case or odd story we sometimes hear.
Right.
So listening to all this, I'm sure we have made enough impact for people to understand this is not something accepted. What do you think is the best way to spread this message that beauty isn't just skin deep? So validation, of course, needs to come from within, but it also needs to come from at a society level, at a media level, at a government level. What do you think?
Oh, well, like you said, it needs to happen at various levels. It starts from internal validation, and you need to start accepting yourself the way you are, on the premise that you are beautiful, not that despite this, I'm beautiful. No, you are beautiful, just as you are. I've heard this comment a lot, that she's a dark-skinned girl, but she's pretty. Why is there that distinction? You're pretty regardless. And you need to tell yourself that you are beautiful, no matter how you are. All of you is beautiful. That's internal validation that definitely needs to factor in. Secondly, parents need to place a lot of value on children learning humanistic values like kindness and empathy and compassion, as opposed to fixating on the color of their skin or their weight or skin conditions. Yes, of course, if you have skin conditions that are causing you distress, go to a dermatologist and get it looked at. But there is no reason for parents to sort of make you feel any less. They shouldn't do that. They're your primary caregivers, and they need to play a very important role in making you feel accepted. Only then can you move on to the next phase of self-love. It would be very hard if that wasn't there. I'm not saying regardless, people can move towards a place of self-acceptance, but that needs to definitely be there. Cut out toxic people from your life. If people are going to be fixating on your external appearance, and telling you that you're not good enough, well, they're not meant to be in your life.
They're not good enough for you.
No, they can be family, they can be friends, they could be suitors. Bye-bye. Bye-bye to all of them. And yes, as far as the government is concerned, I would say that it's very important for certain regulations to be put in place. And these are, of course, levels which are much higher than a layperson like me, to really take into consideration what sort of skincare ingredients are going into products, which are the popular products on the market, which people are going to be buying a lot, right? Skin bleaching creams are a definite no-no. There need to be stricter regulations that investigate what is the percentage of hydroquinone in them. Why can't they use alternatives to just promote the health of skin? Why does it have to be that? And that's only something that can be done on such a high level. Of course, people like you and me can't look into it, but what we can do is look into more platforms like this. This is such a wonderful platform that advocates body positivity and embracing all of you and all things positive that is meant to elevate the self-esteem of men and women alike. And we need to tap into channels like this. And we need to also understand that we live in a world where the media can be very, very biased. We can't expect media to change, but we can also choose what we consume, right? So look into themes, look into shows, look into podcasts and other such channels like Meet Menaca, which champions positivity in all areas of life.
Thank you so much. That really, really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Having spoken about all about beauty in different perspectives and different aspects, can I ask you, how would you like beauty to be defined?
Beauty needs to be defined by how beautiful your soul is and how good you can make people feel around you. I think that's how beauty should be defined. Like someone sent a very interesting message that it's very important to have a beautiful heart. You automatically become a beautiful person. That's very right, because someone with a beautiful heart is a very warm and inviting and engaging person, a very empathetic and compassionate person who lights up a room and everyone around them feels good.
True. I know that there are few people here who have been into NLP, psychotherapy, psychology, and we know when we like people, we often like the way they look automatically, at least to some percentage. So I think it does count, but how much it counts is the question I take it. The one last question I'm going to ask you, Namrata, is what 5 things you want the next generation to remember, and people who are here or who are listening to it, what can they distill to the next generations?
Oh, 5 things. At the top of my mind, I would have to think of everything that we discussed today. And that would be, you are not your skin color. You are not the condition of your skin in terms of whether you have perfectly clear skin or less imperfect skin. You are not your body shape. You are not the color of your hair. You're not the length of your hair. You are not any of the features that describe your physical characteristics. You are what you choose to make of yourself. That would be my final message.
Thank you so much, Namrata. It was amazing to listen, and I think it's a powerful message. And I really hope more people listen to this and distill this message and spread this message to everyone. I think particularly in South Asian communities where it should make the impact. So thank you so much. I'm sure we are going to come back to more questions, so please stay on.
Thank you for having me here.
Lovely to have you. Before we go further, following tradition, I'm going to announce the next show. That is Meet Menaca, episode 124. That would be Prostrate and Neurological Health with Professor Prasanna Surya Kumar, Professor of Urology, Cleveland Clinic, Lerner College of Medicine, visiting Professor of Urology, member of the Faculty Clinical Medicine, and member of Congregation, University of Oxford. He's also a visiting Professor of Urology and Robotic Surgery, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Consultant Urological and Robotic Surgeon in University College London Hospital and Cleveland Clinic London. Clinical Lead for Urological Innovation, Evergen Health, Lead for Consultant Interview Coaching and Urology, High Yield UK, Chief Men's Health Officer, Smart About Health, and Medical Advisor to Candesic and Alira Health. And I can't wait to hear as well, to be honest, because this is something, another topic. We know many people who have these problems or being diagnosed, but we don't want to talk about. So I'm glad that after a long search, we have found somebody who has a lot of credibility in this field. Now over to Dr. Shamli to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Namrata, for a wonderful session with so much insights. A very good evening and good day to all the audience over here. This is a very beautiful topic, close to my heart as well. And thank you, Dr. Menaca, for choosing me for the vote of thanks. Dr. Namrata, you have proved a lot of thoughts within us with your positive stories and great insights. Skin color or any beauty standards should never be a way to discriminate against someone's beauty or worth. And you made it very clear. The radiance of a person's spirit far surpasses the beauty of their skin color or any beauty standard. Beauty is the light that shines from within, not the shade of one's skin. My heart goes to you when you mentioned about the words of certain people who were able to pierce your beautiful heart. I really don't understand how people lack empathy nowadays. Because I also have a daughter who's 5 years old. The moment I gave birth, the first question the relatives who come and ask is, why is she not in your color? Might be she's more beautiful, she's more golden or more chocolatey, but she's sweet. And I believe this particular topic has to be taught to even children. They have to made realize the importance of accepting themselves, loving themselves the way they are. And the beauty is really in the heart. Skin color is just a fraction of the incredible diversity of the human beauty. What we are within, what we share with others is the real beauty, as you are. How beautiful you shared your story of the beautiful travel you had, but the words can make or break a person. That has been proved. Research says that it takes 7 seconds to have the first impression. And I think people get impressed only by the outside, physical appearances, and the fake makeups that can last not so long. The real beauty is always within, and how you share your kindness with each other, the empathy you have. The real beauty is empathy, compassion. And I really love the fact that you have explored so many things and you've faced difficulties in your life with skin issues, but still you wanted to advocate for this topic. You are not you, your skin color, not your body shape, neither the length of the hair, the color of the hair cannot define. What you choose is what you are. And self love, self acceptance is very important. And with that said, I'm also would like to highlight the fact that hydroquinone over the counter usage is such a very harmful side effects, and it has also been proven that a lot of over-the-counter cosmetics have even carcinogens, which is alarming. If we don't realize, it is going to be late for our generations. So I would really thank you for bringing up such insightful data about this particular topic and sharing your story with us. I hope we all take this message and nurture our generations with better thoughtfulness, better perceptions, and the real beauty is within us. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you said.
Thank you, Sham. I appreciate it. Haven't we heard all about, not only us, about our children? Yeah, it is shocking to hear every time we do. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the participants. Thank you so much once again, Namrata, wholeheartedly. I know it is a very difficult topic for you to talk about because I know you for a long time now. And I know how hard it was and how much courage it took for you to come today on this platform and talk about you. So I really, really admire you for that. And wholeheartedly, a big thank you from me and my team for embracing what it is and coming here for the greater good.
Thank you so much.
We are going to be hosting our next show on the first week of November. Important topic next month. It is prostate and urological health with Professor Prasanna Suryakumaran. And we are looking forward to having him on the show. And with that said, it's time to say goodbye. Stay strong, be healthy, and keep smiling.